morning, everyone. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in this TF1 auditorium to go through this debate today. It's a big honor to go through this debate. Laura Rick kicked off the work session. The topic today is Tennis 3.0. Can tennis reinvent itself to grow into digital era? We're going to take the time to look at the tennis in terms of media consumption, both in the present and in the future. It's going to be a very lively debate because we have a very prestigious panel from both the media and the tennis industry. And here we go with our panel. Of course, we are in Paris. Laurent Ric reminded that Roland Garros, a major monument in the world of tennis, is going on. And we have the honor to have one of the most prestigious figures of the French Tennis Federation, organizer of the events. He's director of media and sponsorship. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Michel Grache. Good morning. Bonjour Michel. Bonjour. Merci d'être là. As Henrik said, we're going to be switching between French and English. Michel, it's been a great start of Roland Garros so far. Very thrilling.
You know, Roland Garros is, I'm joking, a giant picnic, so when the weather is there, it's always good. So it's a good start because it's sunny, the matches can go through, and we have already had some exciting matches. So everything is not under control, but it is going well.
So keeping fingers crossed for some more nice weather here at Port d'Auteuil. It was important for us to have, of course, the Grand Slam. They are the pillars of the tennis family. It was important for us as well to have other major international events organizer. We have the general managing director of the Madrid Open Tournament, one of the most innovative tournaments around the circuit. Ladies and gentlemen, Gérard Sobanian. Hola Gérard, bonjour, hello. Your place is right there, and your microphone, you can take the one from Neil. So Gérard, from Madrid to Paris, you're traveling all around, you've been agent for many players. It's an exciting season going on this year.
Yeah, it's not bad. It started well, and tennis is exciting, and we're glad to be here in Paris to see more show, entertainment.
Well, just for you, we called each other last night to see, hey, let's be twins on stage. We're going to be talking about tennis, but media as well, as both traditional and new media. And we have the honor to have one of the most prestigious signatures of the written press of tennis. He has been covering tennis since 1982, all around the world. He's one of the most successful pioneers of the Twitter revolution around tennis. He's the correspondent of The Times. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Neil Harmon. Neil, a pleasure having you on stage. And we were saying just before, it's a very special day for British players today at Roland Garros.
Indeed, it is. The first time since 1984 we have 3 players in the second round. So a small acorn for us, but we hope it will grow into a giant oak, perhaps.
Well, more reason to keep perhaps finger crossed. Well, we're talking about traditional media, but of course the focus today is going to be on new media and on social network. We're talking about Twitter. When we talk about social network, think about Facebook. We have among us today the director or partnership of Facebook Europe, Mr. Julien Codognu. Bonjour Julien. Julien, après l'IG8 qui s'est déroulé ces jours-ci à Paris, maintenant vous êtes sur scène pour ce débat. Facebook, on le retrouve partout.
Partout, oui, surtout dans les médias. On est persuadé. Sorry, I forgot to speak in English.
Well, you know, we speak French, English. By the way, channel 1 is for French, channel 2 is for English. If you want to switch around, Julien, it's up to you.
I'm going to switch to English. So yeah, I mean, Facebook is a very important social network, the social network. We have great expectation and ambition with the media industry, especially in sport. I mean, what's more social than sport? So I'm very happy to be there today to talk about tennis, which is not a passion for me, but more of advice. So I'm super happy to be there.
So we have representatives from media, representatives from the tennis family, but on the court, in tennis, the stars are and will remain the players. We have not only a player, we have a champion, a living legend in tennis, winner of 7 Grand Slam tournaments, 3 of them here in Porto, former #1 of the world, ladies and gentlemen, Mats Wilander. Since you're the king, you even chose between 2 mics, or you keep that one. So Mats, how has been the start of Roland Garros for you so far?
Well, it's been very exciting. It's been some really good matches, but I agree with Michel that when the weather is this good and the courts are playing really fast, the balls are playing really fast, I think it's interesting and open clay court tennis.
Well, now that the panelists are on stage, we are ready to kick off. Just a few very useful information. First of all, you've seen there are cameras all around you. This debate is filmed and broadcast live on our Eurosport.com internet platform, so it's going to be accessible from all over Europe. Secondly, and very important, this debate wants to be as interactive as possible. So we have open and Twitter account /tag Eurosport DB.
The eyes of the sporting world are on one of the most legendary tennis events, Roland Garros. Let's take time to have a global look at the state of tennis in terms of media TV appeal, attractiveness and interest. Is tennis able to face the challenge of attracting and sustaining interest from a modern audience and its fragmented and unpredictable media consumption? Let's compare tennis and football over the last 5 years. There are 2 key indicators. Firstly, TV offer. Tennis has declined by 30% on major European free-to-air channels, whereas football has doubled. Secondly, the age of viewers. In tennis, 65% of viewers are 50 years old or older, against only 47% of football viewers. Even in a time when tennis features one of the greatest generations of champions ever, with Federer, Nadal and Djokovic, tennis seems to struggle with a television audience. Why? That's the first question of our debate. Tennis 3.0. Can tennis reinvent itself to grow in the digital era?
There will be less tennis on free-to-air television, and the public, generally speaking, is getting older.
Well, I think first of all, I think the game has gone in a way where it's more physical because of mainly the strings, rackets we talked about before, but I think the strings, and with the strings you can put more topspin on the ball, which means that feel is not taken out of the game completely, but it's a much smaller component. And I think if feel is a bigger part, you have more chances of the best guys losing and other guys coming in. So I think they're making the finals every week, the same 2 guys, same 3 guys. And I don't necessarily think in today's, we're trying to get closer to people with more personalities, and there's actually less personalities because there's only 2 or 3 winners. I think that's the technology is not working in its favor in 10 years, if it keeps going.
Well, you mentioned a couple of guys.
They should all split them up. But they should all split them up in a perfect world. I mean, that's the world. So a personality, who's going to hang on to somebody who's not winning majors? And again, I think football, you compare it to football, there's 3 referees and 22 players. And guys are going crazy because there's so many bad calls. In tennis, you have 2 players and 10 officials. And now you have Hawkeye. There's no room for a John McEnroe to develop, a Jimmy Connors to develop. And they're maybe still the 2 greatest personalities in the game. Rafa and Roger are, and Rafa obviously because they're winning everything. So they are great personalities. But again, it's not a lack of personality. We have to make it a more level playing field. So I don't know, returners, service. It's not the actual game. It's more make it a level playing field. How do you do that?
Well, that's our MCR is just getting crazy. There are so many questions. I don't see all of them. So if Amaya can tell me again this very interesting question, I'll be more than glad to put it through, for example, Gerard. Well, I regret first of all not to have a women representative on stage, but we have lots of questions related to women tennis. There are questions and comments about women tennis being more boring than the men's tennis. You organize both events.
First of all, nothing is boring. Maybe, as I said before, the sport is made from personalities of people. The show is not the tournament, the show is the players that go at the tournament and take part in the sport. So you cannot say it's boring. Some people like more the speed of women tennis, or like to watch the women, and some people like to watch the men play. So it's not boring. Of course, it helps a lot, and it's important to have personalities. And to have beautiful girls playing, or crazy guys playing, or breaking rackets, in my opinion. But we'll talk, I hope, about that a little bit later. What is important from what you showed earlier is I think we didn't comment on it, is innovation is so important, innovation, and I would like to point a little bit on that, is that today, if you don't innovate your history, in my opinion, you have to innovate not only in tennis or in other sports, but in business in general. If you don't innovate your history, and tennis, in my opinion, is the sport that has innovated the least in the past century, I would say. Even volleyball has innovated because they needed to adapt to television. That was the thread that made them live and sell sponsorship, and that's important. So tennis has to innovate, even though it's a traditional sport, and we have to respect the tradition. It has to innovate to adapt to what the people want to see today on television, or how they want to see. I think the tennis match is too long, because the people want to get to the drama part much faster than to wait at the beginning of the set. Okay, let's see what is happening. I have time to go to the bathroom, to have a beer, to chat on Facebook, and then come back half an hour later and see what's happening, because I want to get to the point where it's 4-4 or 5-5, and what's happening here. I want to see the drama right now. I don't have time to wait anymore. We don't have time to wait. Everything is going so much faster. So tennis has to adapt, in my opinion. I don't know, guys, if you agree or not, but it has to adapt to the speed of life and the lack of time, because we have to do many things during the day. I'm talking now, I could be looking my emails and talking to you while I have the phone on the other hand and driving maybe. So let's look at it and respect the tradition is important, but adapt it to today's times, to the young people. Of course, it's aging sports, because it's not adapting to the younger people that are living much faster than we lived 10 years ago.
First of all, if I can just answer the question. Last year here, Francesca Schiavone was an absolute ray of sunshine for women's tennis. The way she played it, the different styles she adapted, the joy she brought to the court, the whole story was a great one for tennis and women's tennis, because the previous, I'm guessing now, 10 finals here have been pretty much disastrous. All straight sets, no contests, very much routine, up and down the court tennis. Difficult to get inspired to write inspiring pieces on it. And she came along last year, and I thought she changed the map completely. And even yesterday, her match was terrific to watch. I mean, I wish there were more different styles in the game. I mean, I yearn for the days of Navratilova against Ever. Whether we'll ever get that back, I don't know, because as Max was saying, that the rackets and what have you now predicate against that kind of tennis. But Schiavone showed that it can be done. I agree a lot with what Gerard was saying, but perhaps we'll go on to that innovation a little later.
The improvement, the main improvement for tennis, if there is one.
More interactivity between what's happening on the court and fans of tennis and their friends. So before, during, and after the game.
Michel?
I do agree. We have to remain open-minded about all the best practice and the new technology, and I think we are. And as far as the formats are concerned, I think we have to be careful. Yesterday, if we had been playing a Grand Slam in 3 sets, Nadal would have been out. So I think the mountain and the story to win a Grand Slam is 2 weeks, 5 sets on play. So
that's very interesting, and we go directly to part 2. Should tennis evolve? Any change? That's part 2 of our debate.
The length of the game makes it difficult for broadcasters and fans to schedule matches in a world where entertainment is consumed rapidly and instantly. Our changes in rules and format a must-do challenge that tennis needs to face in order to evolve. What else could speed up the game? No advantage. No let. No second service. Limited match time and reduced time between points. Tie-break at 4-all. Bigger and slower balls. What else? What do players and fans think? I'd have more tournaments on faster surfaces. And then we'd see new players winning. Just one service and faster surfaces. One service or play let balls. The final sets are too long. We should find a way to reduce them. Less time between services. So the second question of our debate changes, but which ones? What do our panelists think?
Do we really need that to keep the audience attracted to the game? Very strange to me, and we don't use.
Isn't that entertaining though for the viewers?
Well, then if you try, then you take away from the personalities. I mean, the personalities suddenly can't argue with a Hawkeye, right? And the personalities need to be able to. Oh, some do actually. So I think that's sort of a faster and bigger balls. That doesn't go along. You know, it's either faster and smaller or slower and bigger. But I think no let, obviously, yeah, no let. Why are we playing a let? That's an easy fix. No advantage could be not even a debate. Let's just make a rule in the regular tour, no advantage. Grand Slams, you can't touch them, I don't think. So are we talking regular tour and Grand Slams, just like they've done in cricket, where they take away the 5-day test match? Are they dead now, Neil?
No, it's not dead. It's not dead. Not when we beat Australia, isn't dead. No, it's
no, because
it's very much alive.
3-hour games and so.
Well, there are fewer. Unfortunately, and this goes back to the attention span of the viewer, and I think that anything that keeps viewers watching for as long as they can clearly is beneficial. If I could just go down, no advantage is worked in doubles, and I think any tournament director here would say that doubles was clogging up the works. And they've unclogged it a little bit by bringing the no advantage situation in, and I think that's worked for sure. No let, I think that's a no-brainer, absolutely. No second serve, I think we should always have a second serve. Limited duration, no, I think 6-all is perfectly fine. And the tie-break has been a tremendous innovation, and I'm so delighted that still 3 of the 4 Grand Slams are traditional. Mats has explained the balls, and I've never been a great fan of Hawkeye, I have to say, that's probably because I'm old. But I actually love the fact that it's not here. One of the great things about playing on clay is the umpire coming out of the chair, the little check of the mark, because people get excited. Oh, what's he going to do? Is he going to change the mark or not? What's the player's reaction going to be? And I agree with you 100% on that, Matt. If you take away and sanitize that, that's another element that is dead. Oh, it was in. Oh, yeah, that's the end of that. Off we go. But if there's a bit of a Federer, the only time he was a little bit antsy yesterday was over a baseline call in the 3rd game against the French qualifier, and it got to him for a little bit. He dropped his serve, and it was almost exciting. Unfortunately, he then won 13 games in a row, and the match was dead. But the fact is, he did actually get animated over a baseline call. If it had just been shown on the screen, that would have been the end of that.
I'm sure that Michel is a fan of that. He's glad to hear that about Hawkeye not being at Roland Garros. I think you're quite traditional on that point.
Yeah, with our Grand Slam hat, of course, and with Hawkeye, Mats would have been able to have this fantastic gesture you had, hitting 2 balls, during the final, I guess. So and we have all the policy about umpire, and there is mark on the place, so there is no debates. And Hawkeye might be a good tool for TV, but and yes, when it's good in TV and the umpire says out, it creates also some controversy, and it's good too.
Julien, we were saying before, tennis needs to be innovative. Now when we get closer to possible changes, we see a bit of a conservative approach. You are a bit outside of the tennis world. What's your point of view on changes? Should we do changes, and which ones? From a, let's say, social network, but more public point of view.
This is not my area of expertise, and as a tennis fan, I have to say that I had some of the biggest emotions in my life watching very long 5-set games that started slowly but peaked in the fifth set. You know, like the '99 final with Agassi and Medvedev, the Davis Cup final in '96 in Sweden with France, or the 2008 Wimbledon final. So I don't see anything I'd like to change. Eventually, maybe the no advantage. But I would not touch anything. What I would improve, as I said before, is, you know, what's happening for people on TV or behind their computers before, during, and after the game. You know, I'm interested to know, like they do for the Super Bowl, what are people saying on Facebook right now about the game? You know, what shocked them, what did they like, what did they not like? I'd like that kind of interactivity, but about the rules themselves, I have to say I would not touch anything.
No, then you create two different sports. The players, they want to. We have already enough confusion in our sports, as was mentioned at the beginning. Nobody knows what is the ITF, the WTA, or why we have Davis Cup, what is the Fed Cup. So you want to add another one now with saying at the Grand Slams you're going to play that way, and at the other tournaments you play this way. It's not going to be.
I was just going to say one quick thing on that. It's interesting that the ATP, when their previous chairman changed, they brought him in on an agenda for change, and he tried to change, and they got rid of him. So, do you want change or don't you want change?
Have the guts to change.
Well, he tried.
He had the guts, and
he tried to change.
Exactly. At least someone is making a decision. They did make a decision.
You know, so something that might help tennis to look more innovative is 3D and connected TVs. I had the experience of 3D tennis a few minutes ago, and it's absolutely mind-blowing. So it's still very expensive, but that's quite an experience, and that could help. Same thing with social TV. You know, a TV that would know via Facebook or via whatever you want that I'm a tennis fan, that I'm interested in what's going on the court. You know, a TV that would tell me, hey, Julien, you're watching the news, but you should watch that channel right now because Nadal is in danger. So that would help to provide an augmented tennis experience and help tennis to look more innovative and give a different kind of interaction.
But I think tennis has been one of the most innovating sports. You know, we have been the first event to have 3D production. We have been the first sport to have, you know, live streaming on mobile 8 years ago. This year we will have the first. We will be the first to have an HDD TV, you know, experience. So as far as technology are concerned, I think, you know, tennis has been very ahead compared to other sport. And you know, Gerard, I think yes, I hear we have to remain open-minded and to try to make the game growing. But you know, whatever the rules are, we have to live with shitty matches. At the end of the day, and you need time to build drama. You know, look at the Wimbledon final between Federer and Nadal. It has been extraordinary, but we need time to build the drama too. And you know, because nowadays, you know, everything is going fast. We are connected. We have to get the adrenaline right away. You know, it won't work every day. We have to accept that in tennis, in soccer, there is shitty matches and good matches also.
In the past, tennis has thrown up some great personalities and unique individuals both on and off the courts. Should we give back the power of expression to the players, bring back the characters, and allow privileged access to them? What kind of new TV formats can enhance this closer relationship between players and fans? Should TV and traditional media focus more on the players off the courts? How can social media get stars closer to their fan base and potentially create new appeal for watching the game on TV? How can social networks change the consumption mode of tennis and media? And what do the players think of the social networks?
I really enjoy being on Twitter?
I try to update my Facebook as much as I can.
You decide how close you want your fans.
I enjoy it. I have a lot of fun with it.
Facebook, un petit peu. Facebook, yes, a little bit. It's a great communications tool, and yeah, I'm a real fan.
Fervent partisan de ça.
How can social networks enhance the relationship between fans and players? Listen to our panel.
Here we come for the key part of this debate. It's quite interesting because so far we have seen how tennis should match the media, television, the audience expectation. But if we look at the other way around, how can media bring new, innovative solutions, sustain, help and support to develop the sport, to develop tennis? And I think it's very interesting. I know there are many and very important representatives from the new media, from YouTube to Google to Yahoo to many more. We have Facebook on stage. Julien, that's your part.
For me, it's a no-brainer. I mean, you see people, players engaging on Facebook, having a lot of fans and driving, at the end of the day, traffic and eyeballs to TV. So, I mean, Nadal and Federer do it every day, but everybody should do it because it's on Facebook that you create the connection between yourself, your brand, and people who like you and their friends. So for me, it's a no-brainer. They should engage with their fans, with the friends of their fans. You want to know what's going on. You know, if you're a fan of Nadal, you want to know what he's having for breakfast, how does he feel before the game, after the game. You want to have that kind of insights, and from Nadal himself.
That makes Neil a bit laughing about what is Nadal having for breakfast. Is that a secret receipt? Or?
Well, once again, I'm kind of torn between being old-fashioned in one respect, but now being a Twitter maniac. I mean, I love the connection that Twitter does bring with the fans. If I can just share a little story. In Rome, a couple of weeks ago, I suddenly heard the umpire go 3 minutes, talking about innovation. And I didn't know why suddenly they'd gone from 2 minutes to 3 minutes, and apparently it's to speed up the warm-up process. So they can tell them that now is the time to come and volley, etc., etc., and to try and get the matches started on time. Another thing that tennis was down on. And I said, why 3 minutes? And Andy Murray tweeted back the reason, the speeding up of the warm-up. Didn't you know that? I said, no, I didn't. And we got into a debate, which was then joined by lots of other people, and the effect was he doesn't think a warm-up is necessary. He said you wouldn't get two boxers hitting each other for 5 minutes to find out how they might go along. So you've warmed up before you've gone on the court, you've done all your preparation, go out there, toss the coin and start. Too many people are turned off in that 10 minutes when it's, dear Rafa, you know, that bottle's got to be here and that one's got to be there, then I've got to drink my drink and I've got to look at my racket and I've got to calm myself down and then I'll jump up and down and then I'm ready. Well, by that time people have gone for a cup of tea, taken the dog for a walk and have gone and done something else. Or switched channel and gone and done something else. And I think that element, you know, in golf, when your tee time is 6:54 in the Open Championship, you're on the tee at 6:54 or you're out. We've got to get the matches started when they should start, and that's, to me, an essential part.
At least I think that we have found the rules change. No warm-up, I think everybody agrees. But I think what's very interesting is that Andy was proactive.
The Twitter thing,
on the Twitter.
the whole Twitter, silly comment by me on Twitter, not knowing what's going on, caused the debate. And I think that's an example of how it can be used to generate a whole new debate in tennis.